Coming to you from the M&M Exterior Studio in Knoxville, Virginia, this is Flushing It Out with Samantha Spittle, the introvert's extrovert. She talks to people so you don't have to. For now.
Now I have your sky's a shade of gray, like a zombie in a maze.
Was that a Greatest Showman?
Yeah, that's what Brett was singing
alive.
the other day.
Oh.
So Jeremy still has
I've
yet
never
to see
seen
it,
the movie.
but two of our friends and their men, they were the ones belting out the music, and they actually are talking about doing a duet for it, doing the other side as a.
yeah.
And the whole I have seen that part of the movie.
Oh, you have?
In the bar when they're like doing the thing, dancing
This
on
is
the
our
bar,
conversation after the Bible on the Rocks
twirling around
recording.
chairs, all that sort of stuff. Yeah.
Now, I have to say, as far as that movie goes, I don't think anything matches the experience of seeing it in the theater.
I wish I would have. Yeah.
Because I've watched it on video, and on the video they go from the whatever studio's vanity card right into the movie, but in the theater everything went black first. And from that blackness, then you start getting the whatever the initial thump of the music was before you get anything on the screen. And that moment, like, I heard the second thump and my whole body went, oh my god, this is gonna be fucking awesome. Like, I was sold on the whole movie.
Yes, just from that.
Yeah.
That's like
that's cool.
Lion King when I saw it on Broadway. Like, it brought tears to my eyes, and it was because it was the animals coming out. Like, and the we had really good seats for this one, and the giraffe like came into the audience, and I was like, this. If you were just watching this on TV, it just is not the same as it. Yeah,
It's a 3-dimensional experience.
Yeah.
so crazy.
Surround sound and all
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
So, is there anything we didn't cover today that you wanted to cover? I'm writing down a couple of thoughts I'm having about questions.
So, I want to ask you about
Please.
your journey with Taekwondo.
Oh yeah,
Is it Taekwondo?
Combination martial arts.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, is it MMA?
No, it's not mixed martial arts. I'm very careful to use the right words there.
Combination. Okay. Yeah, because I see the pictures on Facebook. I'm like, oh, she got another belt. She got it. She got this belt. She got that belt. She's doing. You're doing this thing, and it's so cool to see, and to click yeah, I'm cheering you on.
Yeah.
Keep going.
Well, you could actually come to my next belt test if you want.
Ooh.
Yeah.
I just said, yes, I was looking at our calendar, so I just need to figure out the timing and figure out that I was going to ask you if we can come, if we figure out, can we leave after you're done? How does that work? Do we need to stay the whole time? Do we stay the whole time? I just need to get clarity on that so that...
I will double check that with the school. The good news is, if they keep to the same schedule they did last time, my group will go first.
Okay.
I can't remember.
I don't want to leave if we would then miss your ceremony, so that's why I just...
There's not a ceremony.
Okay.
Yeah. So I'm trying to remember, like, last time, was there a wave of people that left after the yellow belts were done? And I can't remember, but I can ask, because they may have said something before I got there that was like, hey, please plan to stay,
Yeah, exactly.
Hey, don't be rude. Like,
Yeah, exactly. I don't want to be a jerk, so I just have to look at what we have going on that day, because...
So how did you get into that? When did you get into that? How did you get into it?
I just burped in your microphone. Very recently,
So I feel like it was since it was in between the last time you
that's
were
why
here
I
recording.
meant to ask, because was that part of the Joy journey?
it has turned out to be. I didn't start by choice. I took my first class in August. And the reason that I got started is because there's a spiritual training that I'm a student in, where in that training you go through degrees, and I moved into third degree of that spiritual training over a year ago, so the beginning of 2018. And so when my teacher said, welcome to third degree, here's the list of requirements that you have to fulfill in order to complete third degree and move to fourth degree, one of the things on there was take martial arts.
What?
And I saw that and I said, no fucking way, I'm not doing it. And I basically spent a year arguing with my teacher about, I'm not going to do it. I'm just not going to do it.
Wow.
And I finally figured out that
you were like, why am I leaning? Why am I so adamantly no against this?
And one of the reasons was I finally remembered back in college, somebody had talked me into trying out Taekwondo. I went to one class, and during the warm-up, I overstretched myself, and I hurt myself, and I ended up totally in tears, totally embarrassed in front of in front of guys that from my engineering class that had I don't know what belt they were in Taekwondo, but basically I was totally humiliated and never wanted to touch martial arts again. So, of course, we make plans and God laughs. And so, of course, this thing was going to come up that I had
as
to take
a requirement in your life.
Yes.
What are the chances?
So after, I don't know, what would that be, like 16 months of pushing against it? Somewhere in there, somewhere earlier this year, like over the summer, I stopped pushing that hard. And I started noticing that, I would actually notice the martial arts schools around Gainesville and didn't want to, flip them the bird or whatever.
Screw you, martial arts academies.
It turned into, I might need you later.
Yeah. So I would
burn any bridges.
I had already started to step into my own willingness when at the beginning of August I had my weekly meeting with my teacher, and she said, look, I'm getting the strong message that you need to do the martial arts now. And I was like, fine, that's fine. I was already open to the idea anyway. So I went in that week and they said, perfect timing. We've got a new class starting in a couple weeks. So then I was excited, now I'm now that I've said yes, I'm all in, because that's how I am with things. And it turned out it has been a very significant part of this journey from pain to joy that I'm taking, because probably the most significant part of my story with my mother is that the way that the abuse ended was when I was about 16. I finally hit my breaking point one day when she came into my room. She was upset about something, nothing, whatever. She hit me, and I hit her back. Mm-hmm. And after that day, she never tried hitting me again. So hooray, abuse is over, right? But fast forward to, this point in my life, taking martial arts, what it uncovered is that day of hitting my mother back created all new trauma for me, because in that moment I became the abuser.
Yes.
And I actually, I don't have a conscious memory of this, but I have this feeling that when I hit her, I saw all the pain in her face. That it's I know how that felt, because that's how I've been feeling for all of my childhood.
Yes.
And
you were you didn't want to turn into what?
Right. But
I see how the cycle happens, though.
Yeah. It wasn't that I didn't want to turn into her. It's that I believed I had turned into her. Right. But knowing, having enough self-awareness of, and having maybe this life purpose of not continuing the cycle, instead of inflicting that on anyone else, it became my reason to hold my power back in all ways in my life. The message that got entrenched was, because that was a moment of power for me, of lashing out and saying, I don't accept this anymore. I'm going to do whatever it takes to stop this. And seeing her reaction to it, what that put in my subconscious mind is, when I use my power, I hurt people. And
you turn into the thing you don't want to turn into.
Yeah.
And so you need to lock that up so that you do not become her.
Right. And so, the biggest place where it has shown up for me in my life has actually been with my business. That I had been one of those women that I described earlier, of running toward the goal and never getting there. because every time I would get to that point where, okay, a last like strong act of power of putting myself out there to be visible or following through on whatever launch or program I had planned, whenever I would get right to that tipping point of, okay, now it takes all of my power, I would do something to sabotage that. And what happened was, in taking martial arts class and actually being put in the position where I had to even pretend to be hitting somebody, that brought up all of this original trauma from with my mother from that moment where I hit her back. And like, I was going through PTSD in martial arts class.
Wow.
And not even realizing at first that that's what it was.
Yeah.
But it all came to a head. And there was this strange thing that happened where I was the only adult in the white belt class, so the only new adult student. So I didn't have a partner for most of my white belt training. When I had to practice doing something with another person, they had this dummy that I would practice hitting or do a takedown, like you have to learn how to push somebody to the ground. I went through my whole white belt training never putting my hands on another person until the week before the test, when now the master instructor is leading us and he's making sure we know how to do all the things we're going to be tested on. And it was my first time being partnered up with an actual human being. Yeah. That is when the panic hit.
Wow. And
I had this total like deer in the headlights. I didn't even know how to do the takedown. I ended up pushing my partner like just across the room into toward the wall, because I had forgotten the part where you're supposed to put your leg behind there so that they actually gently fall. Somehow I made it through that class that night, and it was when I got home that all of the trauma, all of the emotion came up, and I just spent hours crying in bed. But it was a healing moment. I mean, that was everything, 20, 30 something years of repression all coming up in one night. Yeah. And so that's why I had to take martial arts, because it was like spirit saying, okay, you can no longer hold back. You can no longer carry this burden. You can no longer hold yourself back from this work you're supposed to be doing in the world. Wow. And how it all fits in with the timing of that, and me watching the Matt Kahn videos and recognizing that joy is my thing. Like, it all coincided. It all happened pretty much at the same time.
Well, it's like once you start peeling back the layers, it's like...
Yeah, sometimes some layers just start peeling themselves.
Yeah. So has the martial arts been more of the healing or more of a growing for you?
It's both. It's not either or. Because healing allows space for growth.
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
And and martial arts, I have to say, I recommend it especially for every woman that I know, because we women need to know how to be tapped into our masculine energy, our sense of power, our sense of direction and purpose, so that then we're not relying on men to have that for us. And next time I'm on the show, we'll do an episode all about masculine and feminine energy and that balance.
That's so funny.
We'll get the mats out.
So yeah. Well, no, it's funny because we actually our guest that we just were with, he has a business. It's called Authentic Masculinity, and it's working with men. And so we talked about it, and because I was leaning into like, this could be controversial, like talking about this masculinity, so I wanted to work that out more, because then I was talking about if women, so anyway, there's like so we might have to have him come in and have a whole little conversation.
Yeah, we'll have a panel going.
Yeah. Because, I think that there's just a lot of insight into all of it. And I think what I kind of found with talking to him, and that I found with talking to everyone, is like, even if you think you go into the conversation being like, we're totally different, you might end leaving different, you know what I mean? But you can definitely walk away with a greater understanding of where someone's coming from. And the more you talk, the more I think we realize we're more similar. We just call it different things. Kind of like with what we talked about with faith last time, that like, we said before we started recording, let's set our intention today, or let's say a prayer for today. Like we have the same motivations.
Yeah.
I guess if that's saying. So anyway, just when you brought that, it's funny timing with the masculinity thing, because I was like, well, if a woman has masculine tendencies, like, what does that mean? And is that bad? Like, I kind of, like, there's all these things where, like, women can be powerful and, so anyway, just interesting insight. So.
Yeah, and every person has their own natural balance of masculine and feminine. That has nothing to do with sexual preference.
Yeah, well, he even said, what's the difference between sex and gender? Because gender is, what do you say, a social construct, So it's like, so anyway, just as interesting. I feel like it would be a very interesting conversation because he has his opinions, but he's very open and good about speaking. So it would, I think, be a very interesting conversation.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah. And I feel like a fucking badass when I'm sitting there and I'm punching or standing there and punching and kicking and, just being like tapping into my own strength like that feels awesome. And then, so I've been doing this since August and now, I'm noticing the benefits of I've lost weight and I'm noticing, hey, I'm kicking higher than I was back in August. And so that just adds to the good feelings and all of that totally outshines any feeling of dorkiness that might be. Part of it.
Like, who cares? That's the least of your worries.
And in your mind, are you like Black Widow, like taking down all the bad guys?
Yes. No, because I'm not doing this to take people down. I will say,
that's so good.
I will say, I did. Since I'm single, I did have one sort of daydream where I imagined myself standing in a bar and having some guy come up to me and talk in a way that I just didn't want to have any of that. And I imagined myself just sort of turning and giving the guy a face palm, not taking him out in one move and then just kind of walking away, or not walking away and just looking down and be like, "Are you done yet?" Like,
nice.
And that's probably the most violent image that I've had related to this, because to me it's all about the mind body and
right.
And even again, credit to the school, they focus on the self-defense, it's mind body. They have us take an oath at the end of every class, and one of the things we say is, I will not fight outside of the school. But this is only for self-defense.
That's good.
So I'm not a violent person, and so that Black Widow idea doesn't really work for me. I mean, I love the badassery of it, but going after putting myself in a situation where I need to use these skills, I really don't see it happening.
Yeah.
It doesn't.
Well, in a self-defense, would you like do this move? I always, when I think of Black Widow, I'm like, oh, she wraps her legs around a guy's neck and then like throws him across the room with her legs, and then anyway.
You're at a bar and you're like wrapping your legs up.
That might work counter to my purpose if I'm trying to take down a guy, if I'm trying to discourage a guy in a bar. Yeah.
Well, it
so
could
funny.
be used to encourage a guy, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Right.
We're pretty much circling around the same point there.
Always. Do you have another question?
Yeah, I got a few, actually.
Okay.
I wanted to go back to you had a metaphor of a slingshot.
Yeah.
So, and the metaphor was, I guess the slingshot being pulled back is all the crap you're going through in life, right?
Yeah.
And then when it gets released, that's your
propel
being projected forward. But I was just curious to dive into that a little more, because it's not the metaphor I would have used,
Yeah.
So why a slingshot?
Why a slingshot? Well, I think first of all, it probably came from a place of consciously or not needing some way to understand what, like, if I'm this great healer and this evolved person, like, why do I keep going down into the dark spaces still?
Yeah.
Because you have to get the gold.
Right. And so, and maybe I'm trying to think, how did that evolve? That when I've judged myself for being in the dark places, or, not being joyful, being more frustrated, angry, whatever, when I've judged myself for being there, then it's like, if we're using the slingshot metaphor, it's like when somebody pulls back the slingshot, but then instead of letting it go so it takes off, you just kind of get that meh, like it doesn't go anywhere.
Yeah.
Ooh, sorry. I mean, you went to engineering school.
Yes.
So I just had this realization. It's like that potential energy.
Exactly.
When it's pulled back. The
Yes.
further you pull it back, there's so much more
Yes.
potential energy.
Yes.
That's the people who are usually the most pain. Like the people who you see killing it, you think they haven't had any problems, and they usually have more than you know, more than anyone
Yeah.
else in the room.
Right.
Exactly, and that's part of the law of polarity. The part that says that the two polarities exist to the same degree. So that is actually that is how why I got to the slingshot analogy, because when it felt like I was going even deeper into the darkness, I was able to reframe that as the slingshot's pulling back even further. So now I know when I figure out the key to letting the slingshot go, I'm going to go further into my glory, my positive.
How much
side.
potential you have.
Exactly. I'm carving
to
out
get
more
to that other
potential is
side.
what I often
Yeah.
say. Yeah.
Sorry.
My mind is being blown because I came up with a joke a few months ago. And I was listening to like Conan and another comedian talking, and they were talking about all comedy, you know, like comedy is born from pain, and like all the comedians, everyone's wanting attention on stage because they didn't get it from their parents and yada yada. And so here I am getting close to 40, and I'm just now feeling like I'm leaning into this. I always wanted to be an actress, like when I was growing up. I loved comedy, but I never did anything about it. So then when I heard that comedy, the bit I came up with in my head, just amusing myself as I'm driving, was like, dang it, Mom and Dad, why did you have to love and encourage me so much and make me believe I could do anything, because I don't feel the need to be validated on stage just superficially. Because actually I remember in high school being like, yeah, I don't want to be just an actress and like, you just read like, what fulfillment is that? That's not doing anything. And so I was like, dang it. They're you know, whatever. It's kept me from being successful in this world.
Love.
Yes. So that was like a joke I had, and I feel like, you know, I of course have pain, and if I can uncover it, I can definitely find lots of pain and trauma. I'm sure we all can, you know, things in there, but it's all relative. Like it's opportunity. Everything's an opportunity for growth, and that when you experience pain, getting through that, that's the joy. This is all very full circle. So anyway,
there is gold in that cistern.
Yes.
Yeah.
So yeah.
And it's okay if you don't find it right away.
Oh yeah, for
you know,
sure.
like it makes me think of, I have a friend who just messaged a group of us yesterday and to let us know she had just gotten laid off. And she asked for words. What she said is, we say, send me white light. You know, it was equivalent of saying, you know, please pray for me. Please, you know, send me positive vibes, whatever. And one person in the group did reply to her and go to that place of this is a blessing, this is a good thing. And I was like, it's true, but like
too fresh,
yeah.
Fresh.
Exactly. And so it's okay that even if you can intellectually know there's gold in this cistern, sometimes you still have to dig to get down that far into the cistern.
And sit in it for a little while, too.
Yeah.
Like, just, you know.
Because there's also, if we're using that visual of a cistern being a deep well, that it's one thing to find the gold, but you've still got to climb back out of the well with the gold.
Ooh.
It's not like, hooray, good. I found the gold and now the well goes away and I'm on dry land. Like, you've still got to figure out, what do I do with this gold? How do I get it back up into my life?
Yeah.
That's good.
That just hit me, by the way.
Wow.
That was a moment of pure genius, like pulling that out of the ethers.
Yeah.
That was good.
Yeah.
I didn't mention it because I knew I wouldn't be able to say the words correctly, but what I like about joy, because we talk a lot about this, like, I think it's a biblical thing, so Jeremy might be able to help me out more with it, but it's joy. Like joy is not the same as happiness. Right. And it's that you choose joy even in is it Paul mark it all as joy? Like, even he talks about, even in your suffering, it's joy. You can have joy in your suffering. Mm-hmm. And that's a topic. And like I said, I didn't want to bring it up before just because I felt like I couldn't think of the right words to describe the stuff. But I'm imagining people listening that kind of have that thought in their head. And that's why
It was in his second letter to the Philippian church.
Nice, babe.
I made that up.
Oh, wow. I was like, wow, that was super impressive.
I believed you.
It could be true. I don't know.
But I like that message, though, because, you know, mark it all joy that you're going through bad things, hard things, you know what I mean? And it's like you could choose joy. Joy is not the same as happiness because it's more than happiness. Like happiness is joy. I don't know, maybe joy is a choice where happiness is an emotion or something. I can't think how to say it, but
I would compare and contrast them as they're different degrees of an energy or an emotion. And in fact, this is, I was just shooting a video yesterday where I said this, that when I'm in full joy, I can't sit still. Because it's an energy. It is the energy of spirit moving through us, and it's not just moving us in any general direction. It is actually moving us toward our purpose and toward the work we are here to do. And so it's this message coming into our cells that says, "Get up and do this.
Yeah.
Get up and dance. Get on up and dance." Dun dun dun.
is that dun 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 dun?
Yeah, it was. I went. I don't think I started with CNC.
I know. I was like, but I know.
Because I confused. Getting up and dance is something else, and then I conflated that with Everybody Dance Now.
Yeah.
And then that's CNC Music Factory.
Yeah. Another thing you said, you can only lean into your pain as much as I've leaned into my own pain. I can only lean into your pain as much as I've leaned into my own pain.
Yes.
And I thought, I really like that. And I want to just suggest maybe that it's also you can only lean into somebody else's pain as much as they're willing to share their pain. Because if they're not really going to talk to you, how are you going to lean into it? Right?
That's an interesting question, and I'm going to challenge it a little bit.
Yeah,
because,
definitely.
I knew as soon as he said it, I was like, ooh. I was like, no. Yeah, I was like, oh, this will be interesting.
Yeah.
No, this is good.
It certainly depends on what your definition of leaning into the pain is.
Oh,
because
yeah, okay.
if we're defining it as talking about it and exploring it out loud, then you're right. You have to respect that boundary. Somebody's not going to let you into their pain no matter what questions you ask.
Right.
But you can still acknowledge their pain.
Yeah.
And have compassion for it and respect for their experience.
Yeah, okay.
And sometimes that can actually have the effect of helping them tap into their own pain.
Yeah.
It's like I was the tapping, knocking at the door. Like I feel like you acknowledge it, and it's like knocking at the door, and you kind of where you choose to not knock at all, but you choose to knock, and then do they choose to open the door, and then do they choose to invite you in? Like it's a process is what I was... Keep going. I'm sorry. I just was thinking of that visual.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. Definitely.
Yeah. In fact, one of the videos from Matt Kahn, and I wish I wish I had been taking notes while I watched them, and especially I remember what the videos are about, but not what the titles of the videos are, so I can't refer you to, in this specific video, he talked about this, because they're all one big mush in my mind. But he talked about a practice he actually does where as he moves through the world, when he sees somebody in pain, he just silently says, in his own heart, says to them, I acknowledge your pain. Especially if somebody's coming at him with rudeness or whatever, he doesn't try to say to them, well, I understand that you're being rude to me because you've got pain and I want to acknowledge that.
And that's so condescending, but wouldn't it be so much better to do that? I can see you're in a lot of pain right now the way you're attacking me, so I just want to sit in this pain with you for a minute.
So when we have flushing it out on the streets and you're walking around with your microphone, we'll do that exercise one day where we'll just go up to people.
And Billy on the street, it'll be flushing on the street.
Yes.
Let's flush it out in public.
But that's such a hard place to remain in, to consciously think that while somebody's berating you or whatever.
Yeah.
Right. Especially, that is really a reflection of how well have you processed your own stuff.
Yes.
Because you need to be able to experience, what you're getting from that person and realize it's not about me.
Right.
It's about them.
So how do you heal that?
But and vice versa. If I find myself being angry with Samantha, it's not about her.
Right.
Yeah.
It's about me.
Whew. This is a lot today. And I loved it. So
excellent.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah, me too.
that's a wrap for now.
Thanks for listening to Flushing It Out with Samantha Spittle. Music provided by twinmusicom.org. Song titled Night at the Dance Hall. Sound editing by me, Jeremy Spittle. A special thanks to our studio sponsor, M&M Exteriors. Visit their website at mmexteriors.com for all of your roofing, siding, and gutter needs in the Northern Virginia area. Visit our website at flushingitout.com and be sure to subscribe. This has been a Spitfire production.
That was the greatest thing I've ever heard.